This is Fight Fans Radio.
Broadcasting out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, you're listening to the Low Blow MMA Boxing Podcast with Justin Goodrum, Will McClary, and Jorge Hernandez.
We're actually now being joined by the WBA Super Welterweight Champion of the world out of Las Cruces, New Mexico, Austin No Doubt Trout. Are you there, Austin?
Yes, sir, in the building.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Great to have you on. So this weekend you got a little side gig, man. You working a part-time, seasonal part-time with the Showtime crew actually commentating. Is this your first commentating gig, man?
Yeah, actually, it's my first, live television commentating gig. Yeah, I've done a more of a internet radio type of gig with Go Fight Live before, but still very inexperienced. But I feel like I think I could do this.
Yeah. So did you hear the news about Erik Morales actually supposedly testing positive for a banned substance?
Yeah. And because I've been having to do my research and staying on the wire, and that really sucks. At least though, that shouldn't throw off the whole card. They got 4 championship fights. Well, now if that fight falls out, you still have 3 more, which is still a pretty stacked card. So I hope they don't cancel the whole thing, because my ticket is already in there, and I'm going regardless.
And speaking about the actual card, what can you tell us about it? It's very loaded. It's probably the most loaded top-to-bottom fight of the year.
Definitely. Oh, man, we got Peter Quillin and his opponent, Indam Jakam. I'm very excited to see it. I haven't seen too much about Indam, but I've, doing my research, I looked and watched. And, Peter Quillin's got a fight in his hands. This guy is undefeated, just like Petey. He's the WBO champ. And, he has a lot of different tools in his arsenal. He does a lot of moving, but he does punch a lot. So he's not a runner, but he does run. It's kind of weird to explain his style. He's very very elusive, good counter puncher. I feel like Peter Quillin's going to have to, bring that animal out of him to get him a good fight there.
Austin, this is Justin Goodrum. I want to kind of get you to talk about how did you get this commentating gig? It seems like Showtime has kind of changed their commentary teams. Now Morinello is doing the play-by-play. How did the opportunity come about?
When I was in New York, me and my manager, Bob Spagnola, we sat with Steve Espinoza, and we pretty much kind of cornered and was like, hey, I see you testing out other fighters for commentating. You should give us a shot. I think I'd be really good for it. I'm good at winging anything. I used to BS a lot of papers back in college, so winging it is not something foreign to me. And not to mention, I do speak fairly rough for being somebody who gets punched in the head a lot. And not between that and my advisor Alan Heyman's influence, we asked him to go ahead and lay a word on it, and I think those two came together.
And also, we've gone this deep without even mentioning your fight December 1st. So pretty much this is a good, way of... Great time. Yeah, good timing
to be able to promote my fight coming up, and not to also let people see a little bit more of Austin Trout, which they haven't gotten to do and such.
So far, what is the type of reception you've had from fans who don't know who you are? Do you still get a lot of who? Or
Well, a lot of people started doing the research, and slowly but surely, I'm getting a lot of people saying, Cotto might be in for right now they're saying Cotto might be in for a good fight. Soon enough, I'm gonna get them saying, Cotto might lose this fight. And if they don't say it, when he does lose, they're like, damn, I did not know Cotto would have lost like that.
Also on the card, you mentioned your buddy there, Peter Quillin. So have you been in touch with the guy at all, or are you pretty sure he doesn't get to the fight?
When he goes into camp, he really secludes himself, and I respect that. So, I send him a text here and there, throughout the time training, and send him a tweet, and it's been all love. But he gets real reclusive when it's close to a fight.
And very quickly, just give us an analysis or a breakdown of the fights that are going on. I'll go ahead and read them off. Obviously, we don't want you to make your prediction because you're supposed to be neutral now that you're actually part of the media, Austin Trout. So, Kevin Alexander versus Randall Bailey. What do you think?
Well, it's the classic boxer versus puncher. You know, if Devin is on his boxing game, I think he'll win a fairly lopsided decision. You know, we saw like last fight with Randall Bailey coming back late in the late round, so just to say that it's going to be a lopsided decision is not fair because we know that he has the puncher's chance and he does bring that whenever he feels like. So, you know, we have a good matchup with the boxer versus puncher. I think Randall really wants to keep his belt, so he's not going to let Devin outbox him as easily as Devin might think.
And also another fight, I'm very interested in this one. I think more so than any of the other ones is the Paul Malignaggi, Pablo Cesar Cano fight. Because Pablo Cano, I mean, he's no joke. 25-1 with 19 knockouts, and his only loss is to Erik Morales. You know, the fight, unfortunately, you know, he retired is the official ending to that actual fight. So I mean, this guy fought for a world title, and right now he's the WBA champ, or the interim champ of the WBA title. So how do you see that one lining up? Because I really like that matchup.
That is definitely a very interesting matchup. We have Malignaggi, who's an excellent boxer. You know, we have Cotto, who's a very good slugger. Again, another boxer-puncher combination. The only thing that I think may affect, and a lot of people try to give Malignaggi, you know, a lot of credit, or no, discredit Malignaggi for his lack of power. You know, as we saw when he won his WBA title, that he did show a lot of power in that fight with the stoppage in the ninth round. You know, Cotto, though, although being a very good big puncher, he's coming up in the weight. He's coming up the weight class to fight Paulie at 147, which I don't feel like is his natural weight class. So will that be a factor in the fight? Folks, we're going to have to wait and see. See, I've been practicing.
Austin, I wanted to ask you about the Erik Morales situation, and I was wondering from your perspective, if an opponent were to test positive in a way Erik Morales has, would you take the fight if you're in Danny Garcia's position? Would you want to see that B sample? What would be your process if you're in Danny Garcia's shoes?
Well, I would want to see the B sample. You know, Danny Garcia, one, does not have to take the fight. You know, he beat Morales very decisively. It wasn't like it was a robbery the first time. And he's coming off a great win with Amir Khan. The only thing is, you know, does he feel like does he want to stay busy? That's his thing. Like, if he wants to get right back in and jump in, you know, I would take the fight because, one, it shouldn't be for a title anymore because of the positive test. And two, you know, we don't know how his pockets are feeling. I'm sure he's not broke for anything, you know. But I probably would still take the fight. I would say, you know, you don't get a title. Let's still fight because that's what I do. And I'm going to beat you even if you cheated. And not to mention, I feel like Danny Garcia is coming into the fight with great momentum, where Morales was, you know, coming out of retirement. You know, I didn't feel like, I don't know why he came out of retirement to get this revenge, I guess. But I would probably still take the fight, you know, considering the facts.
And also for those of you following in our chat room, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and blast them our way, and we'll make sure that our producer Erica actually follows through, and you know, we'll go ahead and ask Austin Trout any questions you guys might actually have. So if you have questions for the champ, feel free to go ahead and chat them in there, and by all means, we'll go ahead and pass them on. So Austin, how's training camp going? One of your stablemates, A.B. Hahn, is actually fighting this next weekend in El Paso. Are you going to be able to make it in that fight and to that fight? And how is your training coming along so far?
Well, my training is going great. You know, my weight's good. I feel strong. You know, I did 10 rounds the other day, and you know, I still felt nice and strong. I'm feeling good. December's not coming fast enough. We got, you know, 2 sparring partners coming in. One's Daniel Livingston from California. The other one's Leonard Tyner. And then to add to having A.B. Hahn as a sparring partner, we have some great work. And, you know, I think that this is just the perfect type of formula that we have for this fight. A.B. Hahn having a fight himself coming up, he's falling back in training. And we are, you know, respecting that. And I will be there to support my man, go ahead and get him another win in his hometown.
Austin, I kind of also want to ask you about local fighting in your neck of the woods. I understood you were involved in promoting your own set of fights. Can you just tell us the kind of the fight scene in Las Cruces and in El Paso area compared to Albuquerque? Is it as vibrant as it is in the Duke City? What are kind of the differences and the similarities?
Well, one, Albuquerque is a bona fide fight town. I'm trying to get Cruces to become the fight town that it once was. El Paso was once a great fight town as well. I feel like Albuquerque does take the trophy as being a fight town now, compared to those two. And, you got the diehard fans. And not to mention, you got the diehard fans that support their up-and-coming local fighters, which is something that we need to get going out here. I feel like maybe it's because people don't promote their fighters enough around here, which is why people don't get behind anybody. So that's the kind of, take I'm trying to look at. I'm trying to get where we could take some fighters from here, from our own city, promote the heck out of them to where we get a following. That way, when they feel like it's time to turn pro, or if they're already pro and the big wigs are looking at them, they'll bring something to the table instead of, having to beg and take whatever scraps that people give them.
And also, speaking of promoting, man, speaking of promoting, just last week, Showtime's All Access Cotto versus Trout was actually in your hometown. How did that go? And tell us what went about and what parts of the city you actually took them around, and some of the local characters out of Las Cruces that you introduced them to, man.
Well, it was great. They came out and, they watched us spar a couple of times. Watched us train a few times. And I took them to, New Mexico State University, which is the beautiful campus we have here. I went and showed them, some of the running paths that we have. I took them to the run up A Mountain. They went and they went and looked at the valley coming down from the I-10 West. And that's just, a spectacular view, in my opinion. So I'm glad I got to show them on the other side of Las Cruces besides, what Campus PD shows.
Well, Austin, this year, pretty much this Saturday card on Showtime is pretty loaded. Is there any other fights as 2012 comes to a close that you're looking forward to seeing?
Well, the one that I was really looking forward to already happened, the Rios Alvarado fight, and also the Donaire Tashioki fight. So, now I'm looking forward to watching the Marcelo Alvarado fight. I think that's going to be a great fight. And, the one Saturday coming up, and of course, I'm very looking forward to my December 1st fight. And
what about fights outside of boxing? Is there an MMA fight in particular you're looking forward to, man?
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to the Carlos Conde and George St. Pierre fight. That I'm very excited for that. I know Carlos is going to do good. He's going to do great. Oh, and I'm also looking forward to see A.B. Hahn and Jennifer Hahn's fight coming up this next weekend. Or in a couple weeks.
Also, when it comes to, this type of exposure, your Facebook page was down for a while, man. You're mostly on the Twitter. So, Twitter, because you're very active on there, actually retweeting or following fans. So how do you think that's actually helped you in exposing yourself to the public?
Well, I think it shows, who I am. It's coming from me. It's not somebody who's speaking for me, or it's not a robot that's, automated. It's actually me. So whether, sometimes I get upset and I even talk back to people that's being keyboard warriors, but that's just, knows that I'm human. So I think that if they're going to love me or like me, they'll like me for me, not for the image of me, if that makes any sense.
How much do those haters actually get to you, though, when you see some of those mentions that are coming at you and aren't so pleasant? How do you deal with that? Be honest.
Most of the time I just ignore them. I don't pay them no mind. They really don't affect me much. Every once in a while I feel like who are you, tough guy, to be telling me what I'm going to do and what I can't do? You know what I mean? But it's only for a brief moment. I don't dwell on it. I don't think about it. I just go about my business, because my business is much better than theirs, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Well, Austin, do you have any more questions, Jorge, or?
No, I think that's it. We look forward to seeing your first time as an announcer there on Work Television, man. It sounds like you have been practicing. How often, be honest, how often do you look in the mirror and just keep reciting these lines that you're dropping on us, man?
About 3 or 4 times a day since I found out. But I always got short notice since last week, so I haven't had much time to practice. I've had to do some research because, like I said, I haven't seen much of Dom, and I really haven't seen too much of Cotto except for that Erik Morales fight. So looking them up was just great, and it got me a chance to watch more boxing. So I'm not mad about that.
So go ahead, Austin. We'll give you a moment to, shout out your people and go ahead and do some self-promotion.
Yeah, shout out to Team Trout. My strength and conditioning coach, Shakrisha Baz, my head coach, Louis Burke. I want to give a shout out to the guy for making these things happen. Follow me on Twitter at NoDoubtTrout and Facebook.com/NoDoubtTrout.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the WBA Super Welterweight Champion of the World. You can catch him this weekend on Showtime doing the Erik Morales and Danny Garcia card. Even if they're not fighting, that card is still loaded. So make sure you guys check this talent out. And again, December 1st, live from Madison Square Garden on Showtime against Miguel Cotto. Austin, can't thank you enough for coming on, man. Thanks.
Thanks, Jorge.
All right.
Thank you very much, Austin.